It's the first Monetary Policy Committee meeting for the year and the first under the leadership of Olayemi Cardoso, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. What can we expect from the announcement, which will start in a few minutes? Well, we're keeping our fingers crossed on that. Hello and welcome to this special broadcast of Nigeria's MPC meeting, where the CBN governor will outline the position of Nigeria's Monetary Policy Committee. I'm Esther Awuni, your host and anchor for today. And on the panel with me today, I have Bismarck Rwane, CEO of Financial Derivatives, and Nnamdi Nwizu, co-managing partner at Commercial Partners. Well, Nigeria's economy recorded an annual growth rate of 2.7% in 2023, while inflation continued its year-long acceleration to 29.9% in January. Analysts believe a hawkish tone is expected from today's meeting. The MPC hiked the policy rate by 225 basis points in 2023, despite postponing two meetings in the later part of the year. Now, during that period, a raft of policy changes signaled the direction of the central bank as it moved to address key issues like heightened inflation, elevated domestic interest rates, and the paucity or scarcity of foreign exchange in the system. Now, within the last 5 months, the CBN has issued open market operations 7 times to mop up excess liquidity in the system. And in recent primary market auctions, the Apex Bank has over-allotted markets, particularly in the treasury bills markets, pushing interest rates to record highs. Now, setting that stage, let's go to our panel right now, starting with Bismarck. Bismarck, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you on the panel today, and also welcome Nnamdi. Let's start with you, Bismarck. There's been this build-up, as you know. July 2023 was the last time we had the MPC meeting. But we have seen some significant moves on the part of the CBN, and I don't think we also have a very good clue in terms of where the mind of the MPC is in terms of the position and the stance. But let me not preempt you. Let's talk to us about what your expectations are in terms of some perhaps key pronouncements from the governor today.
First of all, 12 wise men, right? So this is a new MPC altogether. 2, we've not had any meetings since July last year. So are we going to play catch up, or are we just going to take things? 3, we have very loose monetary conditions. Money supply has grown by 76%, right? And we have what we can call tepid growth, 2.7.
2.7 full year 2023, yes.
So when you look at money supply growth of 76% and you look at output growth of 2 points, so ab initio you are 73% underwater, under inflationary waters. So what are the options open? So what we think is that there will be a tightening. The magnitude of the tightening is what comes in question. And do you tighten to a point where you lead the economy into a hard landing and force a recession, or do you steer this over a period of time? I think and I believe that widely, roughly speaking, we expect maybe 250 basis points to show some aggressive growth. On the downside, on the lower side of that spectrum, 200 basis points. We do not give a chance for status quo, and nor do we give a chance to a reduction, because in the last 20 meetings, 10 times status quo was held, 8 times there's been an increase, and 2 times there's been a decrease. Okay? But the very loose monetary conditions now make it imperative. The question is, will an increase in interest rates bring down inflation now, or will it move us into the mode of what we call the mode of moderating inflation? What will it do to the exchange rate? Those are the considerations that members of the Monetary Policy Committee will be grappling with at this time. Generally speaking, I think it's going to be a brutally frank meeting where the central bank has to come across to the people of Nigeria that, 1, they know what they're doing, and 2, they are dealing with truth rather than
right. I mean, I would hope so, for that, being brutally honest. But let me bring in Nnamdi at this time. Nnamdi, thank you for joining us today. Bismarck made some very good points there. Are we going to see an aggressive tightening at the very first meeting, or are we going to see a situation where it will be in, if you will, for lack of a better word, in installments in the next couple of months. We have seen some tightening through the open market operations and some aggressive liquidity mop-up. That 1 trillion naira OMO bill comes to mind. So what is your perspective? Do you think we will see an aggressive tightening at the first meeting, or it will be phased?
Well, I expect them to be quite aggressive. This is monetary policy that is more or less playing catch up. We've not had a meeting since I think it's about July last year, and since then we've seen the currency depreciate by about 71%. We've seen inflation move up by roughly about 700 basis points or 720 basis points. There's a lot they need to do. Yes, we've seen central bank work to try and normalize monetary policy, raft of circulars coming out over the last few months. This one into action. But one thing for me is that they need to be aggressive, and this is a good time to, because the market is expecting aggression. So if you don't exhibit that aggression, or they don't go ahead with it, the market will just more or less just sweep it all and continue business as usual. So for me, I'm expecting 200-300 basis points hike. Also expecting some CRR type tightening also coming from this. Also beyond that, I expect them to come out with a lot of hawkish rhetoric. They have another MPC coming up next month, so it gives them time to address any errors that they made, if any, or to even tighten a lot more next month if they need to. But they need to, because I think the story right now is all about the dollars, USD exchange rate. That's what it's all about right now. And they need to find a way to stand up. They need to find a way to start to bring investors back to the markets and all.
All right, thank you so much, Nnamdi. Hold that thought for us. Bismarck, just coming back to you. And now, one thing that investors, especially foreign investors, will be looking out for today are comments made around the Naira and how the CBN plans to strengthen the Naira going forward. Of course, this brings to mind all the circulars we've had, the FX reforms, the latest being the revised regulations around the bureau de change operators. We spoke to the president of the BDC, Association of BDC, I think that was yesterday, and he said he and his members, and there was also some input from them, they welcome the reforms, but he did say that the capital base, the newly revised capital base from 500 million to $2 billion from tier 1 to tier 2 was too stringent, and that he's looked across the world and there isn't anywhere in part of the world where the numbers were that high. But going back to the actual Naira, and the efforts of the CBN so far, if you were to summarize, those actions, those efforts, and vis-a-vis where the Naira is today at around 15, 16, I guess, depending on who you're asking, what do you have to say?
I think that the Central Bank of Nigeria has its work cut out for it in terms of exchange rate management. And it's a whole slew of things that they need to do. One, market structure. Two, players and changing it from what we have as a price discriminating monopoly to an imperfect, what we call a perfect market, more or less. Deciding that you're having a managed floating exchange rate. Deciding that you'll be transparent in the auctioning process, just like you do with the treasury bills and OMO. Put it out there. I think we are likely to see a movement in that direction. What has happened is that the market has exaggerated itself in the wrong direction. Went all the way to 1,915. It's now back to 1,600. It probably appreciates a little bit, but it could suffer from knee-jerk reaction. So I think that from what I gather, the central bank is likely to become much more transparent in its auctioning system to the public. From what I gather, the central bank is going to be, they've issued these guidelines in all, there's so many guidelines, some about capital structure, some about market practice, some about infractions and all. So I think I am more optimistic about how the exchange rate will be managed because of the fact that there has to be transparency. Any shortfall in transparency in the market will kill the market. We've never seen this kind of precipitous plunge of this currency in the history of Nigeria. So I think there's an opportunity to correct this.
Right.
But we shouldn't expect any silver bullet. It's just going to happen gradually.
Right, but it would appear that the market is looking for a silver bullet. Now, let me come to you. We've just learned that the CBN governor has taken his seat, and the meeting will commence any moment from now, but we still have a couple of minutes. Just to share, get your thoughts also on where the Naira is and the kind of pronouncement or comments that you'll be expecting the CBN to make as far as the Naira is concerned. It maintains that the Naira is undervalued, and but then the issue of price discovery, and where do we know where the Naira is going to land? And to what extent have these reforms worked? In 10 seconds, if you can.
Yeah, a lot of reform just started. We need to give them time to work. It's going to take a while. They need to reassure the public and reassure investors that they know what they're doing. And that we need to give them time for various circulars and actions we're taking to basically start to have some effect.